welcome to Impact 2024. It's, as Nathaniel would normally say, a continuing conversation about today's topics from a Christian perspective. And we welcome you this evening as we look at what's going on in our world today. And this program is designed that we look at the issues and we look at the topics that are going on, and we look at them, as I said earlier, from a Christian perspective. And how we look at things. We all look at things from a perspective, a certain way that we look at things. And what we do here at Impact 2024, we claim our Christianity, and we understand that as we look at things, as we view things, as we make decisions about things, they come in relationship to how we, what kind of people we are, what informs us. That's a good way of looking at it. And so tonight we're going to be, y'all know what tonight is. This is election night. And so Nathaniel is going to come, and he's going to I don't know if he's going to deal with election. I'm not sure what he's going to deal with. But whatever he deals with is going to be worthwhile. And one of the good things is that as you are listening, if you have any questions, you have any comments, you can type them in the comment section, and they will be addressed. Impact 2024 is a ministry of Imani Christian Ministries. We are located at 501 West 9 Mile Road in Highland Springs, Virginia. And we invite you to come and share with us on Sundays at 10 o'clock for worship. Come on by. We'd be glad to have you. Then on Tuesdays, like today, from 7 to 7:45, we have a time of prayer. And wherever you are, we invite you to pray with us. All right. If you have a prayer concern, you can text us or leave us a message at 804-486-9200. Then on Thursdays, we have Thursday Thirst. And Thursday Thirst is where we study the Word of God. And Thursday Thirst starts at 7 o'clock every Thursday. And we look at the Word of God. And we invite you, again, to be a part of that. All right? All right. We are excited that you've come and to share with us, and we pray that it's going to be a blessing. And I'm going to now introduce you to our host, Nathaniel Watkins. He's coming to share with us. Amen.
And welcome everybody to Impact 2024, as was said and stated. And of course, as you already know, as you can tell by my fancy sticker, it is election night. Election night 2024, November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. And, there's a bunch of different ways we could have gone tonight, talking about the election, talking about what's going on. But a lot of people have been talking about tomorrow or next week or next year, what's going on after the election, regardless of what happens, regardless of who wins. And depending on who you talk to, there's been some significantly different responses. I've heard some people talk about they're going from a business standpoint, and they're saying, well, you know what? Not too much is going to change. Because it's going to be split government, which means we'll have the president being in one party, and then the Senate and the House will be two separate parties. And so nothing will happen. And so a lot of things won't change. They say maybe a little bit of tax change here. Interest rates might move up just a little bit. Affordability might come down, regardless of who wins. But for the most part, things won't change. And so they say, well, it's not a big impact. There's other people who say that when it comes to their personal life, their day-to-day, how much they pay for groceries, when it comes to childcare, when it comes to putting gas in their car, when it comes to just their personal life, going to a baseball game, or I'm going to do this or that. Again, a similar idea that things just won't change. There's not a lot of immediate impact to their personal lives. And So you have multiple groups who are basically saying that same thing. And then there's the other people who say that things will change dramatically. Those are women who say, well, our ability to be responsible for our own healthcare and our own healthcare decisions will dramatically change. As it has already changed now, it will continue to get worse. People of color, black, brown, say it will significantly change. And well, how will it significantly change for people of color? Well, one, when it comes down to the immigration issue, it's been said that people of color who are legal and illegal immigrants, they're going to try to get them out of the country. This is not me making this up. This is exactly what the Trump campaign said. So if you have the Trump campaign, they're saying get rid of people. The Harris campaign has not said anything like that. So they will, the day after the election or the year after the election, it'll be a significant difference depending on who is elected there. But then also with people of color, if you remember last time that the Trump team got in, it was empowering for people who are trying to go the nicest way, but we'll just go straight to it. White supremacists, people who are extremely racist. Those type of individuals were empowered. They had one of their own in the position of power, and it empowered them. The number of hate crimes went up. The number of participation in hate groups went up, and so you had a wave of racist behavior, and so that's a significant change. And so what's the point of bringing it up, or what are we talking about here? We're talking about basically the after effects, regardless of who wins. What amount of change is there really going to be in your life? And I'll agree with the people who are talking about business and talking about money and talking about dollars. Regardless of who's in, I don't think that there will be a big change. I think that the change will be minimal. At the end of the day, the president, as much as we want to sit here and be like, well, the president's in charge of this and the president's in charge of that and the Senate and blah, 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 they don't really change a lot when it comes to business. Small incremental changes here and there. Like I said, changes in taxes and a couple of regulations here and there. They're small. That stuff really doesn't affect your life all that much. There's just small changes, maybe a little change in your retirement plan, but it's really not going to just alter your life. Where the difference is, it comes into the social side of our lives. Where the difference is when it comes to how safe some of us feel, how safe some of us are, how we're able to live. The social side of things, the part that some business people want to ignore when they come in and they say, well, the most important thing to me is the economy, and the most important thing to me is taxes, and the most important thing to me is inflation. Well, that's great. But the truth of the matter is, those things really don't change based on the government. You can disagree if you want to on that one, but you really have to look at it, and you don't know the different policies that Obama put into place, or versus the ones that Trump put into place, versus the ones that Biden put into place. Most people, you ask them, and you'd be like, well, when was the economy better, and when was the economy worse? They'll be like, well, the economy was better under this president than this president. You ask them, well, specifically, what policies were put into place that really changed anything? And most folks don't have an answer because they don't know. They really don't know. Not only do they not know, if they do know something, they're like, well, they did this particular tax cut. Well, when did it actually start? How long did it take to put it into effect? But what we do know is the social impact. We do know that when President Obama was in office, that it started the Affordable Care Act, the social impact, which had a direct impact on how many people were able to actually go and get health care, how many people were able to really feel better about their situations, that they knew that because they sick and had pre-existing conditions, that they could still get coverage, that they weren't going to have to go bankrupt in order to get coverage and survive, that they didn't have to make a decision between their family having a good financial path and healthcare. And we know that, depending on you look at another administration, and again, like I said, the last Trump administration, we know that the number of hate crimes went up. We know that the number of people who participated in extremist groups went up. We know that on the FBI list was they said that in-house or ingrown or in the country terrorism was one of the biggest threats. We know that those things changed. The social aspect of what's going on in our lives, more so than anything else, is what changes. And so what changes between now and the next year, or what's going to change tomorrow or down the line, all that business and that money and those dollars that we're talking about, that's great and that's important. But what we really need to focus on is what's going to change in your personal life. How we talk about other people, how we feel about other people, how we interact with other people, other citizens, other non-citizens, everyone like that. Those are the big differences. Those are the big changes. And of course, the reaction of whoever is going to lose, that's also one of the big differences and the big changes. But I think we oftentimes hear these people who want to just sit back and say, well, I don't care about all that other stuff. I'm just caring about how much food I got on the table and money and blah, 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 blah. And the reality of the matter is that's not what's really changing. That's not what's really, honestly, that's really not on the table right now. What's on the table is life. Is how you're able to live your life, not the money part, but how are you able to live your life? Are you able to walk down the street and when you see police, you feel super uncomfortable because they've been empowered not to have any responsibility for their actions? Or do you feel a different way because you feel like, all right, there's been some changes that's going to happen and they're not going to just go out here and just harm whoever and then don't have any responsibility to pay? Comment. What is funny to me is when the media is talking with people who claim the economy is really bad. And they're usually talking with people who are sitting in restaurants. How bad is the economy really? That's exactly true. I said, how bad is the economy really? When the stock market today, all-time high. And so they're talking about people's retirement accounts, their 401ks at all-time high. The unemployment rate, 4%. Basically, where it's been over the past 20 years, right around that 4% change, or 4% range since we had our great recession. And so how bad is the economy really? Yeah, and the prices for goods have gone up, but the prices or the salaries and wages has significantly gone up as well. Not as high as the prices of goods. Now, I don't want to fool you now. Houses have jumped up 100% in the past since 2020. Houses that used to cost $200,000 and now $400,000, and ones that are $4 now $1 million. But people are making way more money now than they were then. The minimum wage and all of that. And so, yeah, it's funny because you have the media and you're talking to people who are just sitting there chilling in restaurants. There are people who are employed and you're doing okay in the sense of you're not. Yeah, you may not. Yes, eggs may cost more than they used to, but you got money to pay for these eggs. So you're complaining about the fact that you had to spend more money, but you're able to spend more money because you have the money to spend. And you got to make some tough choices, which all of us have to make. But yeah. But that's again, those are not the things that's changing. What we have to really focus on is the social side. How does it matter if I have a job if we have hate groups that are out here intimidating me, making me feel unsafe? How does it matter that you have a job or you have an opportunity or that inflation moves or whatever, when you have people who are here who have to worry about being rounded up and kicked out of the country? People who are being criminalized because of their accent or the color of their skin or how they look, because that's what occurred last time. You had a particular president, Donald Trump, in office. And so that's the question of what kind of social impact are we going to have going forward? Are we going to have one where we're in a situation of some negative consequences for people, certain people of color, or are we going to have a situation where you have someone who has basically said, we're going to work with everyone who's here, whether you're legal, illegal, all of that. So not a kumbaya moment, but somebody who's more of, I'm not criminalizing people. I'm not having this dire opinion about the country. And so that's where it comes, the after effect. And so different people have said different things. One of the things that's been said is, regardless of who wins, we got to learn how to work together. I think that's true. I think everybody needs to be able to learn how to work together. But I will say this, I've also heard that regardless of who wins, that everybody has to get together. I think there's a difference between working together and getting together. I think we should all be able to work together. I think we should all be able to communicate with one another, be able to talk to one another. We should all love one another. But I've always been a person who said that getting together part, that doesn't really work out. Let me give you the best example that I was able to come up with. And that is, let's say you had a friend, and this friend was an abuser of their spouse. They abuse their spouse, whether it be verbally, physically, whatever. And they said, well, you don't really agree with what they're doing, this friend. But the friend wants to go out and hang out with you and do things, and you get together with them. Well, in a certain sense, I think that you're giving them a pass for what the results of what they're doing. And we do that sometimes. Like, so there's some people who do some bad things, and we still hang out with them and we give them a pass. And that's, it's okay. I think you can't be everything can't be on the table for, I'm not going to hang out with this person, because then nobody will have to grow. But when you have somebody that's doing something that's really terrible and you're just getting together with them, I think you're giving them a pass. You're enabling a little bit of what's going on by ignoring that they have a significant issue that is harming people, and you're letting that go. And I think that's sometimes when we're talking about getting together, we should be able to work together. We should be able to love one another. We should be able to talk and communicate. But I don't think we should necessarily be able to get together. And so if we had a situation after this election is over, regardless of who wins, and you have the same people who are out here using hurtful and harmful and evil rhetoric when it comes to people who are crossing the border legally or illegally, when you're talking about people like the Haitian immigrants, the legal Haitian immigrants who are here, and saying negative things about them and talking about them with lies and negative comments, those are not people I need to get together with. We can still communicate. If you need some help, I can get with you and help you. But get together? No, I can't give you a free pass, or I can't act like the horrible things that you're doing are okay. And so if getting together is me getting with you and we're having a communication and I'm reminding you every single time, hey, what you say or what you're saying about immigrants or what you're saying about other people is disgusting, then yeah, we could probably get together. But if getting together is ignoring the things that you are doing just for the sake of getting together and being in a peaceful moment, just having kumbaya, I don't think that that's where we need to be. And so as we look to whatever the next step is, as we look to what we're going to do after today, after when the election is solved or resolved, whenever that may be, whether it be next week, whether it be weeks from now, we have to think about what our interactions will be with those people who have had some different thoughts and some different ideas. And I think that for the ideas that were really harmful and hurtful, I don't think we slide that under the table and let that go. We still need to have an open communication in love with one another. And we still need to be able to talk with one another. There's some people who really have, for me personally, there's some people who have really rubbed me the wrong way when it comes to Christianity. And I don't think that there's a scenario that makes sense to sit back and say, well, let's just get together and act like none of that happened. I think it more so it makes sense where we can get together, but we need to really have a discussion about what Christianity is and about some of the things that I believe and some of the things that you believe and how come they're not meshing up. Like, we need to have these tough conversations in a better way than yelling at each other about some kind of election. But, there's no scenario where I can just sit back and be like, well, you just believe the way you believe and it's all good. Let's hang out. Like, no. That doesn't really work for me. And I don't think that should work for anyone. I think that you should be able to get together and disagree, but you cannot get together and forget what your position is and forget where you are. And so as we talk about what the next steps are going to be, and again, as we talk about what's next, I don't think we can forget the positions that people have taken and where you are and what you believe. That is a conversation point that we need to have. People say, well, you don't talk about race, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about politics. Well, sorry, that's wrong. Now, if you're at the job, okay, maybe you don't need to be doing that, but we need to be talking about race, religion, and politics all the time, and making sure that we talk about these things so that people who maybe, I may have a seriously wrong thought. And when I say wrong thought, I may have a wrong thought about people of just certain types of people, or certain opinions about just certain things that I need to talk about because I'm just totally off. But as long as people just be like, well, let's just get together and really not really talk about that, my off thoughts will just continue to be off, and nobody will be able to communicate with me and tell me, hey, I think what you're thinking is crazy, or I think that you need to rethink that a little bit, or maybe dive a little deeper, or get into some more information. But I don't think we need to ignore and get together just for the sake of getting together. Comment is, the reality is we live in a very greedy society. People just want more. Everyone wants to be a millionaire, billionaire. There are also people who want to be in charge. They feel they are entitled. They not only want to be in first in line, they want to be the only ones in line. Absolutely. And that's one of the conversation points that we need to have. We need to talk about greed. We need to talk about what greed is. One of the things I always talk about, and I hear people say it, and when they say it, I have to decide whether or not, all right, this is going to be one of the conversation times, is when they're talking about generational wealth. I hear that all the time. And with that comment right there, people are greedy. And all generational wealth is to me, all it is to me is another word for I want to be really, really rich. It just sounds nicer though. Oh, I want generational wealth. I want a whole bunch of money so I can pass it down to my kids. Now I can live the way I want to live. And I got enough I can pass it down to my kids and they ain't got to worry about nothing. It's the exact same thing. But somehow we've packaged it a little bit differently to make it sound so nice and so much better. And what it is we're normalizing greed. We are making greed palatable for everybody. Like, don't worry, be greedy. Don't worry, take all you can take. It's not just for you. You're trying to build generational wealth, so it's okay. Let's steal from today so that you can give to people who don't even exist yet in tomorrow. Your great grandchild who doesn't even exist. Let's make sure that people don't have enough and you have everything, because it's not because you're greedy. You're just trying to build generational wealth. You're trying to be like the other people who've done this, and they're not bad people. So you're not a bad person either. It's not about being bad. It's about they're greedy, or they may have been greedy, and now you're getting into the greedy game. I think those are conversations that we need to have, and that's what it comes down to. November 5th, 2024, Election Day should not be the end. And that's what a lot of people are saying. It's over. We're going to vote. We're going to have a decision. It's over. It's not over. We need to have conversations, and we need to start talking about some of these issues these complicated and ugly issues that the election has brought out, that politics has brought out, that these two extreme candidates have brought out. Some of the ugliness that has been brought out. And we need to really talk about that as churches, as communities, as just people, as families. We need to talk about that. We need to really talk about what it means when someone is in need. We need to really talk about what greed is. We really, really need to talk about what loving your neighbor is, who your neighbor is. We really need to talk about how we treat international issues and how we think about that. We need to really think about how we're teaching our kids, because too many kids are walking around saying, well, I heard that this politician is a liar and this politician is evil and this politician is that. And they don't have a clue what they're talking about other than that they're getting facts and opinions from adults. And now you got these kids walking around with these strong opinions about stuff they know nothing about because they're hearing the ramblings of adults. And so we got to talk about what's irresponsible and what's responsible when we're talking about these issues. And we got to talk about them everywhere, and including, I think, and this is me, especially including in the church, because we really, as Christians, have some conversations that we need to have amongst ourselves and with one another. What are we supposed to be doing? Why is it that the Bible that I'm reading is so different from the Bible that you're reading, but yet it's the exact same words. And we're not talking about simple stuff like how one person is going to dress versus another person dress, or we're not talking about simple stuff about what's the setup of the traditional way that we're supposed to run service or have weddings or funerals or whatever. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the big issues of what does it mean to love thy neighbor? What does it mean to love God and love yourself? What does it mean to love, period? Those are things we need to have some conversations about. All that other stuff, traditions, whatever. But when it comes down to it, we need to have some serious conversations because there is no reason that we can be so far off on the same topic. So far off. Should be a little difference here and a little difference there, but we are like night and day. Night and day. Some people think you only got to love, the people in your church, and where others think that we're supposed to love everybody. And that is a conversation that we really need to have and figure out, like, why do some people who call themselves Christians think one way, and some people who call themselves Christians think another way. And so, yeah, I put this out there that what's important now is what happens afterwards. The conversations we have afterwards. Don't just get along. Don't just go along and get along with people just because and ignore the issues. No, it's time to talk about these issues. And maybe because the election is over, it'll get a little less heated and we'll be able to have more intelligent conversations. Maybe not, but we need to have these conversations. We need to continuously have these conversations because somebody's off. And the reality is everybody might be off. And we all just need to find a way to get ourselves back on closer into a right track. All right. Well, that's it. Oh, here we go. Another comment. Should morals, values, conduct, and behavior be considered when we look to people who want to lead? Integrity, should it be considered? Absolutely. That's a good question. That should be the first. That should be the minimum bar. And I think that's what it used to be. We would talk about politics and we would talk about leadership and we would talk about just leaders in general. You wouldn't even be able to walk into the room if you were sitting here acting a certain way, cussing and fussing and acting a fool. If you were just blatantly lying, if you were calling people names, those you were dismissed immediately. And now somehow we think that character, values, morals, those aren't important. It's just results. What can you do? And so we should not we've lowered our standards so much as people that all we're looking for is the results. When the results are important, but you can't even get into the room without the minimal standards. I'll say this is going to sound controversial. I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. I think we did that to ourselves when we decided that we were going to be just everything to everybody. When we decided that there were no requirements before you get to certain places. For example, when we decided that as churches, we were like, hey, look, everybody just come as you are, just dress as you are, do whatever. Now, I get it. You want everybody to come. But there's no kind of expectation. And I've said this plenty of times in the past. There's no kind of expectations for people. I expect you to be able to get to this certain standard and then excel. I expect you to, come into the church, look nice, look clean, look decent. Don't be wearing a basketball, football jersey up in here, unless it's a special Sunday. Where just try your best to wear something nice, to do something nice, and then we get to the next level. As long with it, I think sometimes when you take away any kind of expectation and only look to results, then that kind of corresponds in other places. All we want nowadays is results. And if all you want is results, then the package that is bringing the results, you will take it, whatever the package looks like. And unfortunately, even though clothes and material things didn't mean anything, and we should take those out, unfortunately, when we took those standards out, I think it also came with some other standards that we took out. And so now people think, all right, well, you don't need to look a certain way. You don't need to try to look nice and present yourself nice. Then you don't need to be nice with your words. You don't need to be nice with your thoughts. You don't need to be nice with, and so I don't think it was the clothes, but I think it was the way that we approach things by taking away too many standards and having no expectations. And so, yes, I'm bringing that comment back up because I think it's so important. Should morals, values, conduct, and behavior be considered when we look to people who want to lead? Integrity, should it be considered? That's what should be the minimum period for most things. We can't just be like, we want results. Yes, you're going to have pastors who are able to fill the seats, but do they have morals, values, integrity? You will have political leaders who will be able to make great things happen when it comes to the economy and taxes and blah, 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 blah. Do they have the morals and everything? You're going to have teachers and whatever particular type of leadership. You can get the results, but do you have morals and values? And I will say this, and then, because I'm partisan. I'm not even going to lie. I as we sit here, I don't know who's going to win. I hope it's not Donald Trump. I am very excited about Kamala Harris. I was talking to my son about this will be the first time that a woman will be president if she is able to win. First time that a Black woman will be president. First time that someone of Indian heritage will be president. It's a lot of firsts. HBCU grad will be president. And so I'm excited about that moment and excited about, the possibility of what could happen there. And at the same time, what I'm also going to sit here and say is, if those people who are on the other side, who want Donald Trump to win, are excited about Donald Trump, it is ridiculous to me that all of those same tax policies that you like, all of those same economic policies that you like, even some of the same immigration policies that you like, you could have got those from almost any candidate. But you chose the one that had no morals, that had no values, that had no integrity. Why is that? You could have got all the same stuff with the morals, the values, and integrity from another candidate. It's on the same side, another Republican candidate. But you chose to get the one with the least amount of morals, the least amount of values, and the least amount of integrity. And so I think that's where we need to be. Everything that you can get the same way in a different package. And lastly, we're going to leave it on this because we hit our time. How many of you would recommend Trump to be a deacon in your church? I know that I wouldn't, and I don't know who else would. And so, yeah, let's just keep it plain. Let's keep it plain. When people come back and they tell me, man, what about the economic policy? Look, that's your fault for choosing someone with bad morals to do the same thing that somebody else could do. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. And so, regardless of what happens, come next year, come next week, come tomorrow, let's continue to have these conversations with one another, and do not just get along and ignore the issues and don't talk about them. Let's get together, and then let's talk about why are we so different and what is going on with our morals, values, and opinions that we're so off. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being here. I know a lot of people are just stuck glued to their TV looking out for the election results and everything like that. I appreciate taking a little bit of time out for Impact 2024. As a reminder, we're here every week at 8 o'clock Thursday Bible study. Super important for us to be able to get into the Word. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here, Facebook, YouTube. Sundays, Facebook, YouTube, Sunday worship service at 10 Eastern Standard Time. And then at 7 on Tuesdays, we have prayer from 7 to 7:45. Pray anytime in between there. And then you'll be praying with all of us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Have a good one. And we'll see you again.